want to take this opportunity, however, to suggest that we all hail heroic. Oh, that's all I'm saying.
Forgive me, Doctor. I'm receiving a number of distress calls. I don't doubt it.
Y'all remember to tip your waitresses. Have a mighty fine night.
You come in peace, surrender or be destroyed. Here to make war, we surrender. Falsehood, important things are leading you people.
When the appointed hour arrives, the Marauders will deactivate their cloaking devices and begin transporting Klingon shock troops directly to the landing zone.
Landing zone? Where? Tell me.
Why not? Your feeble weapons will be useless against us. We will kill all your males and take your females to mate with.
All right. Now the Federation's taking over, whether you like it or not. You people, you've been running this planet like a piecework thing. From now on, it's going to be under one roof. You're going to run it like a business. That's easy. You're going to make a profit.
Look at these 3 words written larger than the rest, with a special pride never written before or since. Tall words, proudly saying, "We the people."
Hi, I'm Nicole DeBoer. I played Lieutenant Ezri Dax on DS9, and I welcome you to Bird O' Prey 5 channel. Hail Karoga.
Hello world, it's Bird O' Prey 5, Qapla, and welcome to Enterprise Wednesday for January 25th, 2023. Today we are going to watch Season 1, Episode 17, Fusion. And it originally aired February 27th, 2002. In this episode, the Enterprise comes to the Arachnid Nebula, and no, there are not a bunch of spider people, thankfully. They actually find a ship of Vulcans, but weird Vulcans. Vulcans without logic. And I wouldn't quite say hilarity ensues, but yeah, it's a bit of a different kind of episode. The episode was originally going to be called Equilibrium, but then somebody realized they already had a DS9 episode with that title, so they had to do a last-minute title change to Fusion. This was also an episode where Connor Trenier, Trip Tucker, the co-host of the Shuttle Pod podcast, mentioned more than once that one of the actors hired to be a Vulcan on the Vulcan ship, not a main guy, one of the background Vulcans. He, for whatever reason, he couldn't take the maybe the makeup or maybe just the way things were on the set. Whatever reason, he stormed off in the middle of a shoot, threw one of his ears on the floor, and apparently he still had one ear on him when he drove away, never to be seen again on the Paramount lot. Caused quite a ruckus. They had to end up hiring a different guy and reshooting some of the scenes he was in because they couldn't use the footage. And there was some question as to whether he was going to be charged for the unreturned ear, which was apparently quite lucrative, quite expensive. I don't know. I don't know if they ever got an answer as to why he truly left, or if he got charged for the ear. But I guess those are Star Trek problems, like first world problems. Those are Star Trek problems. 47 Yorktown was first in the chat today at 10:28 a.m. Eastern and says 1 Vok. John Araki was number 2 and says Deuce. The John Araki Nebula. No, the Arachnid Nebula, but close. And John Araki says good old nap streams. Hopefully not. Richie Fool says Qapla Richie, and says he can't wait for Deej's beautiful rendition of Faith of the Heart during the opening credits of today's presentation of Fusion. Well, Deej isn't up here. He's very possibly asleep. Deej was streaming, as you know, Richie, very early, 5 a.m. my time. And then he streamed for 3 hours. And then he came to LDG's backstage for like another hour or half hour at least. And yeah. So with any luck, Deej is still napping. Hopefully he finally got to sleep. Captain Fandom Nerd says hello, Captain. Keely Chow says, hey, everybody. Hello, Keely. Syphilis says, good day, friends. Good day, Syphilis. And I'm glad I misread that, because at first I didn't see the D. And I thought, oh, what is this? But no, it's good day. Good day, friendos. Good day, Syphilis. Moxley fans says Birdo for 5 Qapla Bird. Hope you and the family are doing well today. I hope you're doing okay, Moxley. We're doing Charlie, unfortunately, nephew O'Prey, we found out late last night. So O'Prey had to take him to the late PM doctor's office. Apparently, there's a doctor's office that only works from noon to midnight. Anyway, a double ear infection. No, it doesn't mean 2 infections in 1 ear. I don't think it means that. I'm pretty sure it means an ear infection in both ears. He was not a happy camper last night, but with some medication today, he's starting to feel a bit better. And I have my own antibiotics for my own issues. I got to start today. But, in the scheme of things, not too bad. Mike Richards is greetings from Columbus, Ohio. Greetings, Mike Richards. Yes, Moxley fans, as Mike Richards, I hear there's a snowstorm in Ohio. Are you snowed in? And Mike Richards says 10 a.m. The snow turned to rain and mostly melted. 45 degrees right now. Oh, nice. Nice. I think we're supposed to hit 50 tonight. It's actually getting warmer outside, supposedly. Chronos says Qapla, weirdos owes praise. Qapla, Chronos. Miss Lundell's Groovy Movies gives a thumbs up. Qapla, Mr. Lundell. Moxley says they're waiting for late O'Prey. Chronos says Bird of the Heart. I put in the link if anybody wants to join the panel. It's up there. Also, if you click that link, it would be the link to the screening room. If you want to watch this episode of Enterprise while we're live, you can do so. Once the stream ends, you'll have to get your own copy of Enterprise, either on physical media, DVD, Blu-ray, or you can stream it from Paramount Plus in the United States, possibly Netflix elsewhere in the world. or whatever other sources you might have. Again, it's season 1, episode 17, Fusion. Mike Richards says, is the Arachnid Nebula ruled by Queen Arachnia? That would be something. Chrono says, that's Trip the Third. Dan Ben says, some Star Trek episodes or films share the same title. Yes, that is true. Josh Reed says, remember to have the Bird Screening Room bookmarked to watch along with Bird O' Prey. Only while Bird O' Prey 5 is streaming the episode or movie at www.birdoprey5.com/SR. Absolutely. And 47 Yorktown says, bonjour to Yvette and howdy to Kronos. Did I miss Yvette? Oh, Yvette says, hey to Mr. Lundell. Qapla, Yvette. Kronos says you can throw ears around, apparently, if they're Vulcan ears. And this is not a crossover with Doctor Who. Kronos, don't try to rip your ear off. John DeMarco says that sounds more interesting than the actual episode. It did. It did. I would want to know more about what happened with the actor. And did he get fined by Paramount? Josh Street says, Kronos, hope the moths have took your wallet, but not your credit cards to Kuroga. Kronos says, Holly weird problems. That's probably a better way of putting it. And Kronos says, Poole is here. Yes, or at least he was. Yvette says, there is a Queen Arachnid in Doctor Who. Kronos says, Deej is probably cooking Pop-Tarts now with ramen. He was very jealous that Richie Poole had blueberry frosted Pop-Tarts. My favorite Pop-Tart, I don't know what the flavor was, but it was like a solid sugary frosting that was purple and pink. And it had some type of fruity, I mean, I don't even think it's real fruit though. I think it's artificially flavored slime. But whatever it was, it tasted like fruit. So it tasted healthy. And it was good. I didn't even have to toast it. I used to eat that for breakfast or a snack when I used to fly to California. And I'd go to the nearby grocery store and save money by buying some groceries. Because at the Residence Inn, you had a full-size kitchen. So I'd get some groceries for the week. And rather than eating every meal out, I would save a little money here or there for the company. And anyway, Pop-Tarts were a big time saver. Dan Ben says, Bird of Prey, in this episode, they mentioned the Vulcan ship is an older class, but in later episodes, you can see the Vulcans are still using that class of ship. Yes, that's a good point. I remember they say, I don't recognize this ship. And T'Pol looks at it and just says, this is a very old class of ship. Like, that's why you don't know. But it's like Vulcans and humans have been, known each other for 100 years at this point. How would they not know this ship? Anyway, it's just the kind of thing you have to ignore to make the episode work. And John DeMarco says, if Queen Arachnia rules the nebula, it would be quite chaotic. Funny. I see what he did there. Mr. Lundell says, I always mute the opening music to Enterprise. I think it's bad luck for the franchise to listen to it. Truer words were never typed, says Mike Richards to John DeMarco. Kronos is missing in those groovy movies. What is done is done. Josh says Kronos wouldn't be a Bird of Prey 5 stream if he didn't ignore everyone. I'm not ignoring anyone, Josh Street. Okay, I am going to skip over. Okay, I'm not, but Dan Ben says when I was 16, I had red wax stuff coming out of my ear. It was a horrible time. I see, I wasn't going to ignore it, but I would have skipped over it. But people are already complaining. Mr. Londell says bird of prey, whiskey does not count as an antibiotic. That is true. Sithlo says poor nephew of prey, ear infections are so painful, especially when you're a baby or a kid. I hope he's okay, because I mean, he gets a lot of ear infections. Eastland Burkholder says hello, Qapla, Eastland Burkholder. CDJ has joined as a Karogan orphan. Thank you so much, CDJ. I'm not sure if that's an extension or a new, but either way, thank you for becoming a Karogan Orphan Channel member. We're not going there, Kronos. We're not going there. CDJ says, greetings, hope life is good. Thank you, CDJ. Hope it is good for you. Kronos says, whatever happened to your California Girls video? It's still out there. It's available. Also, say today, I did get some good news. My 90s show, that 90s show spoiler-free review, they dropped it. They dropped the copyright. They dropped the copyright match. They agreed after reading my appeal that it was indeed fair use. And I have full control over that video again. Unfortunately, I would imagine that the time people were looking for it has probably passed, but there's always the chance it might take off now that it's no longer encumbered by a copyright claim. So we'll see. Dan Ben says, to quote Homer Simpson, when offering Lisa a donut, purple is a fruit. I like that. Sizzler says, my CAT scan results came in on Monday and everything shrank. Apparently, so finally some good news. For once, Qapla syphilis. Awesome news, man. Awesome. Now, I hope you don't mean everything shrank, but just everything bad shrank. I imagine you wouldn't be calling it good news if everything shrunk. Well, I know what you mean. Just the bad stuff shrunk. So that's good. That's good. Dan Ben, watch the relationship between the Vulcan and the Earth, and a lot of things were kept in the show and to not show to humans. Yes. I'm not cheating, Kronos. Josh Each says, remember to use that Bird of Prey 5, so every comment, so Bird won't cheat and skip. I'm allowed to skip not at Bird of Prey 5 comments. Kronos says, Bird of Prey, does Mama Prey have a tail today? No, Kronos. Not on Wednesdays. I assume not. Mama Prey, do you have a tail? Not on Wednesdays, yeah. Scythelus says, I used to get a lot of ear infections. Yes, today's Wednesday. Scythelus used to get a lot of ear infections when I was young too. Bird, mainly from too much swimming underwater in my grandparents' pool all the time. Well, unfortunately, nephew O'Prey does not have a pool, so he's certainly not swimming.
We might be in the tub.
Maybe in the tub. Scythelus says, I watched it before the claim. Well, it was always up. So the claim happened before it even got released. The claim didn't prevent people from watching it, but it's well known on YouTube amongst YouTube creators that if you release a video with a claim, the algorithm just doesn't push it out because they don't really have any reason to advertise it because of the gray of the area of the advertising situation. Now that there's no claim and it can be monetized, maybe they'll push it, maybe not. It's hard to, you just as a creator, you know that if you see the yellow monetization, it's the kiss of death. It's the kiss of death on a video. Now, what they recommend is you hold it unlisted until you get the copyright taken off and you get the green. But the thing is, if I kept it unlisted, it could have gone 30 days, 31 days, even before they dropped the copyright. And that's assuming they did drop it. And a month from now, nobody's going to be looking for that 90s show spoiler-free review. So I made the decision to just release it because I wasn't going to redo it at that point. So I just released what I had, and I got the worst performing video I've put out in a long time. It was 10 of 10. It was the worst performing video I'd put out in months, but it was out. So we'll see after today if it does any better. But I suspect that it's already anyway. Anyway, let's move on. Yeah, we're delaying this episode too much. The lovely Sherry says hello, Qapla. The lovely Sherry. So let's go ahead and move on to the screening room. If you are new here, go to birdofprey5.com/SR in another browser or tab. If you're on a mobile device, use a separate mobile device. On YouTube, if you watch, you will get a screenshot every 10 seconds or so. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start watching. And yeah, that's where we are. I'm not cheating the chat reading. Okay. Okay, in the screening room, going to count down, and we will hit play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we see the Arachnid Nebula. It's a textbook. It's his first astronomy book. His dad got it for him on his 8th birthday. He used to stare at the cover for hours. Whoever thought he'd get to see it in person? They're just a few hours away. Tafal is not impressed. From the library of Admiral Johnny Archer. He had high expectations as a kid. Oh, there's a ship coming that's using a Vulcan frequency. So let's go see who they are. And we get this picture of an old Vulcan ship. says it doesn't look like any ship he's ever seen. Captain Archer has never seen this class of Vulcan ship. Is this the Earth vessel Enterprise? He says it is. I'm Captain Archer. He's Tavis, captain of the Vahklas. It is good to meet you. And he almost cracked a smile. So Archer's looking around like this. Who is this Vulcan? And we have the opening music. So we will do a moment of silence as we respect the original opening credits of Enterprise. Sorry about that. I absolutely was observing a moment of silence and in no way a moment of jalodger. So these Vulcans like meat. They're not exploring space. They're exploring themselves. Ooh la la. Ah, she understands. You're Kash Takor. Vulcans without logic. It's the name they give to Vulcans who disagree with the teachings, but not entirely accurate. They exist without the need to continuously repress emotions. They've found a balance. Tavin says it's not possible. I wonder if, certainly not the captain. That captain, that's Chris Pine's father. The actor who plays the captain is Robert Pine, I think. It's Chris Pine's dad. Chris Pine, who played, obviously, Captain Kirk in Star Trek 2009. anyway, so it's not the captain, but someone else lower ranked who ran off and threw off his ear. I wonder, I don't think it's the one who becomes quote unquote friends with the Paul later on. I think it was this guy. I think it was this guy. Because is it true you mate year round with any of them you choose? Dan Ben says the show was just called Enterprise, not Star Trek until later. Yep. And season 3, it became officially Star Trek Enterprise. In the first 2 seasons, it was just Enterprise because the creative types decided that they wanted to move away from calling it Star Trek. They wanted to do something different. The recipe for chicken marsala. They're very dangerous. Actually, he could order her to spend time with them. He couldn't order her to like it, but he could order her to do it. Qapla substance D. John DeMarco says pretty soon they'll be asking the crew to share their pain. Share your pain. It runs deep. Qapla for the Jersey. Qapla author Stephen Walton. Qapla. And Forza Jersey, it's going okay. Forza. I was talking about a couple of minor medical things earlier, but they're minor. I can't pronounce Jolene's last name. Jolene Blalock. Blalock. Yes. Blaylock, says Miss Londell. Blaylock. Okay, that's easier. Another time, perhaps. That's what the Bajoran Vedic said at the temple on the station when in Emissary. When Cisco walked by. There it is. The Arachnid Nebula. The astronomy book said it was 6.5 billion miles. His very, very old Vulcan vessel still has better sensors than Enterprise. Where's Jersey says, what do you think of Netflix going to ban 100 million non-paying users? I just saw it on the Quarterings YouTube channel. Let them do it. Let's see what happens. This is what's a Vulcan vessel. I mean, if they're not paying, how are they a customer? John DeMarco says, if only they could talk with Surax Katra to sort this out. That would be an interesting. Wazzo says, basically Netflix isn't worth paying for. The thing is, some shows on Netflix are worth paying for. Like Cobra Kai. Football, not trying to kill the quarterback. Exaggerated stories. It says Netflix will be banning users outside the primary residence of the person paying for it. How does that work if the person paying for it uses it at work, at school, at home, when they go into their parents' house? It doesn't make any sense. Malcolm Reed. You'd like to know about Vulcan mating rituals. They were just talking about it last week on the shuttle pod. Voyager stopped watching Netflix when they pulled the Star Trek shows. That certainly brought down my Netflix watching quite a bit. Admiral Forrest. Dan Ben says, Bird, do you keep mentioning the shuttle pod so they would sponsor you? No, I keep mentioning the shuttle pod so they'll invite me on. I'm kidding. No, I just mentioned Shuttle Pod 1, the episode we watched last week. Garden variety Vulcan are logic. So they talked about how this was a more sensual episode. And then there was also some pushback that said if this wasn't going to be a family-friendly show, they needed to be more responsible about how it was being marketed, which I find kind of ridiculous because this seemed a lot more family-friendly than the first episode and the extended decontamination chamber scenes. The best patients are the ones that know how to cure themselves. Dan Ben says, do you like the food they have on Enterprise? I mean, from what I've seen, it looks good. I don't think it's very practical. I highly doubt they would have that much food on board a starship at this point in time, but I'm not complaining. Brian says, who was the actual chef? His name was John Sheffy, the chef. It was just by coincidence. His last name was Sheffy. John DeVagos is only halfway through the episode. Oh, is he the engineer? 20 minutes left. We're a little past halfway. And probably a minute of the ending is credits. So. I think I'm going to talk to him. Chrono says proto-Vulcans are annoying. "15 generations? That's even more than Klingons. You could be a Klingon trader. It's only 3 generations of shame." Dan Ben says, lol, food stylist Dorothy Duder. Duder was the actual chef, responsible for preparation of on-camera food for all seasons of Enterprise. Admiral Teague is in the house. Qapla Admiral. Syphilis says, how can you bring an emotion to 15 generations of emotionless people? Very good point, Syphilis. Disodium. Twice as much sodium in the same package. Kronos asks, where can I look at T'Pol and not make it look creepy? Look at her in the eyes. Jolene Blaylock really loved this episode. She said it was her favorite one so far. It was the first T'Pol episode of the series. Dan Ben says, Chef was never given a name beyond title. He was almost never seen or heard, but in the episode The Catwalk was played by regular background actor stand-in Richard Saraset, uncredited. the first mind meld on Enterprise. Dan Ben says this episode is on his top 10 worst Enterprise episode list. I don't know about that. Oh, he's enjoying this a little too much. Yeah. She should have had like a nosebleed or something to just kind of, I don't know, little green blood coming out of that nose. Well, Erno says even Spock had daddy issues. True. And Ben, I don't think so much they get upset. It's that YouTube doesn't like that word. They don't like the word in chat. They don't like the word in video. They don't like the word in text. So the less people use it, the better. I personally would use it all the time. I don't give a shit. But, you know, this isn't JoeTube or BirdTube. It's YouTube. Gotta at least pretend to listen to them. a pretty solid argument there by Tucker. Where's Porthos? Bruno says, I hope the Vulcan ship explodes. He was a pleasantly plump Vulcan. Let's call it that. Maybe you noticed the giant ship fly off the side of ours. I don't think shooting somebody even on stun goes over too well when you're supposed to be friends. So are we really supposed to believe Vulcans don't dream? Or at least these Vulcans don't dream? This is bird stuns all of his orphan Karoga miners all the time. That's just simply not true. It'd be a tremendous waste of energy. Why do you have to stun them? They really can't do much. Anyway, that was Fusion Season 1, Episode 17. By the way, I know the title is Enterprise Wednesday number 16, because this is the 16th time we're doing it, but we're up to episode 17. And I realize that it is never going to get better. We're always going to be one number ahead, because the first episode of Enterprise counted as 2 episodes. So it was episodes 1 and 2, and it was the first time, so it was Enterprise number 1. Enterprise number 2 was episode 3. Enterprise number 3 was episode 4, and so on, all the way now we're up to episode 17, but it's Enterprise Wednesday number 16. Next week will be Enterprise Wednesday 17, and we'll be up to episode 18. At some point, probably around 20, I am just going to skip one. We're going to go from Enterprise 18 to Enterprise number 20, and I'm just going to now set them so that the number of the show is the number of the episode as well, because, well, wait, well, never mind. No, I won't, because it's only the first season. Once the season changes, there's no point, and we're already 17. We're already 17 episodes in. How many episodes were there in the first season? I have a feeling that there wasn't. Was it 20? No, there's 26 episodes. So yeah, we're already most of the way through the season. I guess there's no point. Once we get to the second season, it won't matter. Okay, so I guess we're just going to stay. We're going to stay one episode off. That's normal. Next week is Rogue Planet. That's where they come across a rogue planet, yet it apparently, although being far from any star, still warm enough to have life on it and whatnot. That's a weird episode. That'll be interesting. And then one of my favorite episodes of the season is the following week, is Acquisition. And that's where they meet the Ferengi, but of course, they don't know that they're Ferengi. And we don't know that they're Ferengi. So it's okay in terms of timelines. So Rogue Planet and then Acquisition. Anyway, this episode was okay. I'd put this as like right in the middle, like right in the middle of the bell curve in terms of whether it was top 50 or bottom 50. It could go either way. I'd say it was, the only reason I wouldn't skip this episode is because when they come back to it in later seasons, you should probably know why it happened. So I would venture to say I'll adjust that. I'd say this is just above middle of the road. So I would still say this is an episode you should watch. If you were going to skip half of the Enterprise episodes, I would not skip this one. That's the best I can say. I think it's worth watching. Unlike Acquisition, which is an absolute top 10 episode. But anyway, it is what it is. Thank you all for hanging out. Qapla All. No, you could skip it now, Kronos. We've already watched it. You've already watched it. So that's today, Wednesday. Tomorrow, I don't know what, if anything. I do have a short that I want to release at some point, but I've got to finish working on it. I don't know if or when that'll come. Friday, I'll be back to Bed Life. And then Sunday will be another Twilight Zone. So hope to see you guys then. Qapla All, bird out.